I'm Shahar Azani and welcome to this episode of Eye on Israel. Alon is an acclaimed Israeli professional stock car racing driver. In fact, he is the only Israeli professional NASCAR race car driver. He is the unprecedented four-time winner of the European NASCAR Championship for 2017, 18, 20, and 22. He made history as the first Israeli to compete in both an IndyCar sanctioned series and one of NASCAR's top 3 touring series, setting new milestones in the Israeli motorsports. Alon was born and raised in the city of Ashdod in southern Israel. He began his racing career with a go-kart at the age of, get this, 10. And for his bar mitzvah, his father Avi got him a karting vehicle. Can't wait to hear about that. Last but certainly not least, I'm excited to be the first to announce that Alon will be competing this July 4th weekend in the NASCAR Chicago Street Race 2024 to be broadcast live on your TV. Alon is a true hero in Israel. He's a powerful role model spokesperson and truly a brand ambassador for Israel. Alon, welcome. I am so excited to be speaking with you on JBS today.
Thank you, Shahar, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's an absolute joy. So, allow me to start by asking you the inevitable question that I ask so many of us Israelis these days. October 7th. We live in the shadow of the ongoing war against Hamas in Gaza, the threats in the north. How were you impacted by October 7th?
I think it's impossible to put it in words how big the impact was on me, and I think for everybody in Israel. I think every Jewish person, I think, in the world, and especially every Israeli living here, that the fear and what we went through in October 7th, this is something that words can't express. I can tell you that my personal feeling that day was that's it, that's the end. Like, we are about to be conquered. That it's over.
Were you home?
We will talk about. Yeah, I was at my wife's family, but we will talk about it, I guess, later. But at that time, I lived in Kfar for a few years, and I remember that morning, so many messages, WhatsApp messages from the group, from my friends from the kibbutz, and you can see like the text messages about what's going on, and the terrorists are coming in, and this is something that I really can't express in words.
So you actually lived in one of those villages directly impacted, Kfar Aza, a few years ago. Yeah. You weren't living there at the time on October 7th.
No, I wasn't living there. I lived there in 2018. I won the first, as you said, the first European Championship in 2017. And after that, I said, I need something quiet and beautiful to move to. At that time, I lived in Tel Aviv, and I can tell about myself that I'm not an urban person. I need my village. I need, countryside. I think that's the reason why I also choose NASCAR. This is the same kind of environment. So I moved to Kfar Aza. At that time, that was one of the most beautiful places in the world. I'm not kidding.
Describe it for our viewers to understand what life was like and hopefully will be.
First of all, we need to understand what kibbutz is, yeah? It's social village. So everybody knows everybody. We are all the same age. It's a community. We all eat together in the same dinner room. So it's all very close community, and everybody knows each other. And they want always to help each other. Every evening we see all the friends together. It's very, very social. Like, you cannot compare to anything else, I guess, outside of Israel, because kibbutz is something very specific in Israel.
Right.
And beside that, all right, Gaza is very close. We are like, I don't know, like 1 kilometer, one mile from the border. But still, this is one of the most beautiful places in terms of the nature. It's kibbutz life, village life, very quiet, very easy, very slow, peaceful. So it's also hard to imagine that something like that can happen. I lived there for 1 year. I experienced everything. I experienced rockets. I experienced the balloons that coming down with fires, almost everything. But I never thought something like that will be able to happen. You know, I never thought, never in my mind imagined that. Um, and yeah, it's hard to even express
Right.
those memories.
So you lived there, up to what, a couple of years before the attack. I imagine, like you said, many of the people who were affected by it one way or another. Would you like to share a little bit about that? Tell us a little bit about your friends.
Um, so as I said, it's a very social place, very close community, and the neighborhood that I lived there, it's a very young, the youngest neighborhood. Like
Right.
when you're
Next
turning
generation
20,
style.
20, yeah, 22 years old, everybody, you get your own small apartment.
Right.
We all live like next to each other, door to door. So I know at least four hostages were my neighbors. When I'm talking about my neighbors, they're like the next door, like
Wow.
going out.
Hostages, people who are
5 feet,
being held in Gaza now.
and they are right now in Gaza, probably sitting in some tunnels and waiting for something to happen. And this is like, it's even hard to imagine. You know, two of them are women, and you know, with everything going on and the UN report, you can't, like, every day you hear about sexual assaultment or something like that that happened to the hostages, and thinking about the fact that my neighbors, my friends, are sitting there right now in the tunnel, and probably experience those kind of stuff. It's just terrible to imagine.
Yeah.
Um,
Thinking about your direct involvement, direct experience, I can imagine some of your friends have also been murdered in the course of the attack, people that you knew, right?
yeah, people that actually met like few weeks just before the attack. Shahar Bergstein, he was a good friend of mine, next door neighbor. I just met him 2 weeks before the attack in another friend's wedding, and he got murdered in his own house, apartment. Uh, it's just
Too
Aviv
much.
Baram. We have a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Yuval Solomon, also another neighbor. Daniel Peled. I have a lot of friends. And when I'm talking about friends, I'm talking about, I've seen each other every evening. We sit together, we play on the PlayStation, we're talking about life, we're having fun, we're going out, we're drinking beer, and then suddenly they haven't done anything bad
Right.
to
You're
this.
right. And still we
That's the most
see.
annoying thing about that.
And you see, sitting here, in New York, we see the world's reaction. We see how it's ignored. We see phenomena not dissimilar to Holocaust denial when it comes to this. Now, professionally, you've been in and out of Israel since October 7th. How have you felt the impact of October 7th professionally within your professional world when you left Israel after October 7th?
I can take it to two directions. First of all, if I think about the racing in United States, and I think about the Jewish community and the Israeli community in United States, they are getting closer and more united. And on the other side, there's so much anti-Semitism going on right now. And I was talking about it many times about the fact that the way I was feeling anti-Semitism was when I approach companies to try to get sponsors, and they don't even want any kind of contacts with either Jewish or Israeli. They don't want that. And just because of the fact that I'm Jewish or Israeli, it's just, it's kind of like stupid.
Alon,
And
do they actually tell you that, or are you assuming by
yeah,
their reaction?
directly like that.
So what
Yeah,
do,
we
what do
don't
they
want
say? What do
you're
they say?
Israeli and we don't want. Sorry?
What do they say specifically? Do they actually tell you that they don't want it because you're
Yeah,
Israeli?
because of the situation right now going on in Gaza and Israel, we don't want any kind of, we don't want our company to be involved in any kind of, things like that.
And what about in the past? I imagine sponsorship is
Even
a
in the
relevant
past,
one.
it's always the same since I grew up. Well, I mainly raced in Europe because Europe is actually closest to Israel.
Right.
And at that time, I was thinking about going to Formula One, and Formula One is mainly in Europe. So I approached a lot of companies, and I'm talking about a lot of companies, either in Europe, in Asia, in America, everywhere. And many times I got, it's like a glass wall that you want to go through, but you can't because you're Israeli.
And you're an
And a lot of
excellent
times,
driver. Like you're a professional, excellent driver
yeah,
with amazing results, and still you get those answers.
I won championships, and not only one. I won a couple championships. I broke almost every record, and I'm still, I found myself
Struggling.
uh, really struggling finding sponsors. And
Wow.
for sometimes I was unemployed champion, which is weird to
Ridiculous.
think about.
Yep, it's
Yeah, it is.
ridiculous
It is.
how this situation manifests itself in our personal and professional lives. Talking about professional lives, I think our viewers will be fascinated to hear about your passion and how you were able to realize your dream. So, at the age of 10, Alon, tell us a little bit about how you grew up into this.
So first of all, when you want to be a professional race car driver, you have to start like every kind of sports. You have to start when you're really young. I know it's kind of strange to think about driving in 10 years old. I know it's not really
Right?
going together, but we started in something go-karts, and I think a lot of people know what go-karts means, or karting.
So you
And that's the
decided,
way.
was it something in your environment, your surrounding? Was your mother driving around in a go-kart? Was your dad, your grandparents? Like, where did it come to you from?
No, it's actually came from computer games. I
Wow.
was playing video games, and at that time I was playing I think it was Need for Speed or something like that.
Yep.
And I remember I said like I want to be a race car driver.
Right.
And I would start 10 years old. I would start searching how I become a professional race car driver, and I realized that the first step is actually go-karts. And so my parents took me to go-karts as a present when I was 10 years old. And I think since then, it's all history. I think they
So
regret
your
it. They
parents
prefer me
were,
to hold a tennis racket.
yeah, they directly, so they were supportive from the outset, from the very beginning.
Yeah, I think in any kind of sports, you must have your family's support. Otherwise, there is almost no chance for you to have any kind of success in professional sports, especially in young years. Like when you're a teenager, if you don't have the supports of the family. And I was fortunate enough that my dad was all the way inside together with me.
Avi,
He
right?
was Avi, yeah, he was my partner that time. We went together to races, to go-karts. He was my mechanic in go-karts, and
That's
then
amazing.
he came with me to Europe, and he was there from the very beginning and until today. He coming for the races and he will visit, even though I'm 32 now, I'm married, but my dad is still there, and I think I own my whole life, my whole career to my dad because his support is something that's impossible to compare to anything else.
Amazing. That's so beautiful to hear. What about your mother?
She's also support. I think she have a harder time to watch me race.
Right, that's what I was at. Maggie,
It's not
right?
it's not easy to
It's
see her
Maggie?
son. Yeah, Maggie. Easy to see her son driving 200
That's
miles an hour.
exactly what I'm just asking what all of our viewers are currently thinking. So, but she still
Yeah.
supported you. She still stood by you and your dad in doing this.
Yeah, and as I said, if you don't have your family stand by you and support you, the chances are really low to make it to the really top
Right.
level.
I gotta
This is
ask
the
you
most
something.
important, the family.
Yeah, for sure, and that's in and of itself an incredible message. I gotta ask you something. If my memory serves me right, and I'm not sure it does, but I'm putting it out there, was it entirely legal at the time to, the go-kart racing in Israel, and how did you go around that situation?
Yeah. So motorsports wasn't legal at that time.
In
2000, we're talking 2002.
right, in Israel.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't legal. And yeah, it was kind of like pirate thing, you know. And I had to go really quick to Europe to start racing in a very organized and professional way, because in Israel there is almost no chance to go out. Today is a different story because today we have a lot of racetracks and the motorsports is getting more developed. But 20 years ago, it was almost impossible. So
Amazing.
again, my dad was clever enough, you know, to send me to Europe and start, you know, helping me raising my career.
Right. And I mentioned in the introduction your bar mitzvah gift. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that episode.
So when you get to a really professional way, you need to have your own go-kart. You need to purchase your own go-kart. And that was my bar mitzvah present. You know, every kid here in Israel, when they get to their bar mitzvah, they either want to travel to America, to Europe, to Disneyland, whatever. And I wanted a go-kart. I wanted to go really professional. And at the age of 13, I would start racing in the Israeli championship. That was my debut year. In a we're talking about top level professional way, professional level of go-karts in Israel. So yeah, that was the beginning of the journey.
Wow, that's incredible. What a beautiful journey and a great story. I want to ask you something that everybody thinks when probably they listen to your career path. Describe the feeling of racing. Like, how is that? What do you feel when you race? Like, give us a taste of that, some energy.
I have to say that I think I'm a bit different compared to the typical race car driver.
Okay.
I'm not a cars guy. I don't like cars. I love speed, and it doesn't matter if it's in a car or F16. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
I love speed and I love competition. So I can race on anything you can imagine. I can race on camels. Just let me race against something. Let me be the best. And that's the way. That's who I am. And I think that's what motivates me because I always want to win, and it doesn't matter on what I'm driving on. Um, I'm good enough on race cars, so that's the path I went through.
Have you
Same
tried
with stock car.
camels?
Not yet, but I will.
Maybe,
I will.
maybe.
I live in the desert, so
Yeah.
I guess
And through the peace with Saudi Arabia, you never know. But I just got to say that it's so Israeli to hear you share that experience because that competitive nature of wanting to be the best, of making it, isn't it the epicenter of the Israeli experience?
yeah, I think Golda Meir said that we have nothing else,
Right,
and we always have to be clever than anybody else.
right,
I think that's the Israeli nature. We always try to think how I make it better, how I succeed more. And it's the same in competition. It's the same in motorsports. I always want to be the best. It doesn't matter what type of car I'm driving on, if it's a good car or bad car, and what kind of championship. It can be stock car, it can be Formula car. It doesn't really matter. I just want to win. And I think that's something that every Israeli has something in
right.
it, you know.
And it's
Always try to be
and
the best, and we're doing that in everything, you know.
right,
We have the best fighter pilots, and we have the best in every. We're the best. Try at least to be the
right.
best in everything.
You know, you're sharing this experience, and it immediately takes me, as I listen to you and your sense of identity, your Jewish identity, your Israeli identity. You are at the top notch of your professional realm. In many cases that we've seen, the kind of a dilemma that Israelis who reach the top of their profession feel, that sometimes you have to give up, compromise on your identity to be able to succeed. So for instance, had you denied your Israeli identity or turned in the direction of criticizing Israel, it might curry you favors with some anti-Israel elements around the world. Yet with you, you never even had a doubt. You know who you are, and you carry your identity onto the race course. How do you feel as a symbol, as an Israeli symbol, as the Jewish driver? How does that make you feel on the race course and beyond, just representing? Because in all that you do around the world, you represent.
That's who I am. That's honestly who I am. I born and raised here in Israel for the good and bad. I live in Israel, not in New Zealand. I didn't grow up in, I don't know, Australia or New Zealand or whatever. I grew up as an Israeli Jewish person, and I can't deny that. I can't hide that. That's who I am, and I'm very proud of that. I'm very patriotic. I served in the military. I've been through everything. I always carry the Israeli flag with me. I always carry the Israeli flag when I go on the podium if I win. I'm very proud to hear the tikva when I'm winning a race. That's who I am. I can't deny that. And how can I, show my face to my friends or my family if I hide the fact that I'm Israeli?
Right.
That's who we are, and we need to fight for that.
Truly warms
very,
the heart.
very proud to, Sorry?
It truly warms the heart just to hear you express that vision, that sense of mission, vocation. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for being.
We don't have any other land, so
right.
That's who we are.
In the realm of what we call public diplomacy, in your professional world, you must encounter drivers who come from other countries. And sometimes it could be countries that don't have diplomatic relations with Israel. It could be countries whose governments are hostile to Israel. How has that experience been for you on the race course?
I always said that sports connecting people. And I met through my whole career, I don't know, I think from almost every country, enemy country to Israel.
Right.
I met a lot of people, a lot of drivers. And I have to say that every time I meet somebody from enemy, let's call it enemy country, we always realize that we're all human, we're all the same, we all want the same thing, we all want peace. And I will never forget it. I met a guy from Iran. I think it's a good point to talk about Iran, specifically with what's going on right now.
Right.
And somehow we became really good friends. And we were not even talking one word about politics. We were talking about sports, about racing. And that's why I think sports connecting people, and I think sports is a very good channel to talk about, to connecting people and, the whole package.
Right. Have they ever experienced a desire to come visit Israel, see Israel?
Yeah, they wish. And the thing, it's kind of like stupid, but they were afraid to send me messages because they're afraid the government will, find out and something will happen. So I met from Iran, I met from Lebanon, I met from Syria, from Saudi, everywhere, almost everywhere. And we always came to the same conclusion that we are all human, we all want peace, we all want racing. And the only war we want is on the racetrack. Right. And that's the most beautiful thing about sports. And as I always said that sports connecting people. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you're born, and what is your religion. If you believe in Allah, if you believe in Moses, or whatever, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
It's just we're all the same.
You're coming to race in Chicago this coming summer. And Chicago has been a hotbed of anti-Israel activity. The city passed a resolution, the city council passed a resolution in support of a ceasefire. We've seen the anti-Israel demonstrations on the streets. We've seen the anti-Semitic sentiment in various places. And you're going to be there racing on behalf of, as an Israeli driver, representing Israel on the streets of Chicago. How does that make you feel, Alon?
Very good.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for that, to be honest. Beside the fact that I'm really waiting to race in NASCAR, and especially in Chicago, because Chicago is awesome city, and I don't know if you know how exactly the racetrack will look like, but that's a city track. That's actually street tracks in the middle of the city. I'm waiting for that. And about the anti-Semitism or what's going on in Chicago right now, I'm there to raise the voice of the Israeli and the Jewish community. And as I always been the voice. I will carry the Israeli flag. And if somebody is unhappy with that, they will have to deal with that,
Right.
you know. And I think that's also my goal in the whole trip to the US. I want I don't want to be I don't want to apologize to people. I don't want to say sorry because we need to, I don't know, we ceasefire. We're sorry about what's going on in Gaza. No, my friends die there. My friends still in tunnels in Gaza. And I'm there. I'm going to Chicago to talk about that and to raise the voice about that because I think we need to hear about that because this is hypocrisy, in my opinion, you know.
Right.
We have so many evidence about raping and sexual assaultment, and yet Hamas is still not a terror organization for the UN, you know.
Correct.
So
don't be afraid to raise your voice. We love that message.
yeah, and I think even if I will have protests or people come to me, it doesn't matter. I'm waiting for that, and I think I'm gonna do what every Jewish in America need to do, and it's
Right.
to start talking, start acting,
Right.
because this is the time to act.
Stand up loud and proud, Alon Day. It's such
Loud
a
and
joy.
proud.
I can assure you that we will be there for you to cheer you on. Thank you so much for everything. It's an absolute joy speaking with you and listening to your empowering and inspirational message.
Shahar, thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here. And I'm waiting for Chicago.
Thank you, Alon, for the passion, the excellence, the devotion, and for your professionally and being this proud Jew and Israeli that you are. I'm sure all of us and all of our viewers will cheer for Alon's upcoming, not one, but many victories to come. Israel, for sure, is fortunate to have Alon Day as its representative. And to you, our viewers, if you happen to be in Chicago this summer, don't forget to come out on the streets and cheer for Israel and be there for Alon Day. Thank you all for watching, and see you next time as we cast another fascinating and unorthodox eye on Israel. Thank you all for watching.